Hi again, everybody. Welcome back to the Columbus School of Chinese here in Columbus, Ohio, and our show Ask a Chinese Teacher. Today I want to introduce to everyone the #1 app that we recommend all of our students to download on day one of learning Chinese. That is an app called Pleco. There are a lot of reasons why we love using this app. We recommend this app to everyone. The first of which being that it's free. So no matter if you have an iPhone or an Android phone, this is a free download that you can find on your app store. It's spelled Pleco. The app icon is a character. It's a Chinese character for fish, pronounced yu in Mandarin. So I'm going to introduce some of the functions, how to use them, why we recommend it today, and set you on your way for this great free tool. So aside from it being a free download, the #2 thing is that it is completely downloaded onto your phone. You don't have to have internet access as you are using it. This is especially useful if, for example, you're trying to do some work on an airplane, or if you're taking a trip to China, you don't have your normal 3G network that you're trying to access your data. You don't have an international data plan, but it would be really helpful if you could use this app to look things up while you're in China. Well, you can. You can use it because it's all on your phone. You don't have to access some information on another server. For example, the Google Translate app requires that you're connected to the internet to look something up. Once you download it, it is extremely intuitive to use. So, they'll have that search bar at the top where you can just start searching for words. You can start typing an English word and it'll start giving you Chinese definitions for that word. You can type pinyin, which is the romanized Chinese, and it'll start to give you English translations for those words. It'll also give you the Chinese characters for those words. And if you know how to do this and you have your Chinese character keyboard activated on your phone, you can switch to characters and you can start typing in characters and it'll give you English translations. It'll give you pinyin. This is a really good tool if you come across a character in your readings that you don't know. It's a new character to you. If you're familiar with the Chinese writing system, when you come across a new character for the first time, there's no way to be 100% certain that you know how it's pronounced. You have to look it up in order to know how it's pronounced. But dictionaries, traditional dictionaries, are usually organized alphabetically. So how do you look up how to pronounce something in an alphabetical dictionary, right? So with this app, you can kind of bypass that problem. You can look at the character, use your finger to input the character that way. You can write a character with your finger on smartphones these days, and the character will show up. You can choose the character, and then it'll tell you how to pronounce it, along with all of its possible definitions. So for example, let's take this character here. Let's pretend I just came across this character for the first time, and I want to know how it's pronounced. I want to know what it means. So I can use my fingertip to write it in, and voila, there it is. I can select that, and the dictionary informs me that it's pronounced cai. And you can scroll down to see all the definitions. And there are a lot of definitions for this character, cai, as you can see. So one tip when you're using the dictionary in your studies is to not simply just look at the first definition and assume that's what's going to make sense in whatever bigger sentence or passage that you're reading. So context matters a whole lot in any language, and especially in Chinese. So if you see a bunch of definitions, plug in the first one to your sentence, see if that meaning has an overall good fit. If not, if it's still not making sense to you what this sentence is trying to say, go to the second, third, fourth, etc. Usually something will make much more sense than the others, and that's the definition that you're going to want to use. Now, once you start looking up a bunch of characters, here's another great function of Pleco. You can click on this side menu here, pull this out, and you'll see your history. Once you click your history, that's basically a list of all the words you've looked up. So it's kind of like a new word list, a vocabulary list. This is a great way to go back and review all the new characters, all the new words that you've been studying. As you can see on the sidebar here, there are a ton of functions that you're going to want to play around with. There is one more function that I'll mention today for studying characters, and that is something that helps with stroke order. This actually is a premium function that they've unlocked for a certain set of very common characters, so you can kind of see what it is, see what it looks like, and if you're interested, if it's helpful, you might want to go ahead and buy it. So again, if you haven't purchased this, it won't show up for every character, but for a lot of characters, especially if you're a beginner or intermediate student, a lot of the characters you're working with, this will already be unlocked for you. And it'll be, if it is available, it'll be in this tab here. So if you hit this tab that says stroke order, it says stroke, it'll give you an animated stroke by stroke order of how this character should be written. Stroke order, as I've mentioned in the past, is actually more important than you might think. It's helpful for making our characters legible. It's helpful for when you're doing fingertip input, your phone will be much more likely to come up with the character you're trying to get. And it's very helpful for memorization. So if you've studied characters in handwriting before, you know that it's not all just random strokes. It's very patternized. And those patterns are helpful in that you don't have to memorize 13 random things. You might only have to memorize 3 parts that you already know and are very familiar with. Finally, the last thing I want to talk about that not everybody utilizes in Pleco is the example sentences. So you'll want to find the example sentences down here, and that gives you a good context of how this word is used. This is something I think a lot of people actually take for granted. So just knowing a character, knowing its definition is one thing, but being able to put it in the right spot in a sentence is a totally other thing. What is it being used as? What can it be used as? Is it a noun? Is it a verb? Can it be both? Is it an adjective? Does it work with a verb complement? These example sentences can tell you this kind of information. So there's our little review and tutorial about the most useful basic functions of Pleco. We highly recommend everybody to download it. This is something beginners to advanced learners can use. This is something I use especially when I'm translating professionally. So if Pleco works for you, please let us know. Also let me know if there's any other great apps that you'd recommend to other learners of Chinese. And once again, thank you for watching.